We're back. It's the Too Close for podcast. We're talking about episode 10 today from season 1, A Friend in Need. January 27th, 1981.
Wow. So once again, as many episodes start, we find ourselves in the kitchen. Henry's making some chili. Muriel's says that chili's way too hot. But she tries some and ends up chugging some water.
It all feels like a routine that they've been through before to me.
All right, Jackie comes. You hear Jackie outside the room. She's like, "Hey, is Dad making some chili?" She's been tipped off because the cactus has died. Apparently, the cactus in the living room has died.
The cactus should have been able to handle it.
You would think. She tries the chili, and she ends up needing a good drink of water, too. You want to wet your mouth with some, you don't want to drink too much water. You just want a little bit, because this chili is pretty hot. Okay, anyway, she's looking for her red dress. You got to remember that part. Sarah tells the family that she sent Monroe to the psychiatrist. Okay, that was shorthand. Didn't make any sense. She sent Monroe to the psychiatrist, but he won't tell her what's going on. All right, then, boom, another scene. Monroe, he follows Henry upstairs and sits down. And where Henry sits him down, first of all, Henry does one of his famous freak out.
Because Monroe was sneaking behind him.
So he sets Monroe down to ask him, hey, what's going on with the psychiatrist? And Monroe tells him he's a virgin, and he asks Henry for some help to help him. So downstairs, Muriel has a talk with the girls and warns them about Monroe being a virgin and tells Sarah not to help him out. Okay, that's the end of Act 1. We find Jackie on the phone with Mrs. Rafkin when the parents knock on the door. She's arranging to get her dress back from Rafkin, who apparently took the dress when she was there a couple weeks ago picking up her brother's clothes.
Oh, so she does have a real reason to come back.
Well, this time she does, yeah, because I don't know. After this is where she first encounters Monroe, as we will soon see. So she's going to bring back that missing red dress. And then we find Sarah and Monroe. We find out that Sarah and Monroe are at a beach party, and they have lots of blankets, and she informs them that Sarah said she was going to help Monroe out with his problem. Just then, Monroe and Sarah show up. Oh, Henry, he thinks that they're all happy because they've had sex, because they're just so happy because they had such a fun time with the fire. It was such a good time with the fire and the blankets and
a lot of innuendo.
And a lot of sexual innuendo and lots of ho sort of moments. So Monroe takes off. Henry confronts Sarah about it, and Sarah runs in her room. She's all like, didn't want to talk, right? Didn't want to acknowledge the situation.
Yeah, immediately offended at the very notion
that she would be having sex with Monroe. So the parents leave. Sarah comes back out, tells Jackie that Monroe's roommate has helped him set up an appointment with a sex surrogate, and they want to meet at the apartment. And Jackie reluctantly agrees.
Yeah, and she says some remark about she doesn't want pick of the litter.
Yeah.
Still dwelling on what that meant.
All right, so Act 3. Downstairs, Mrs. Rafkin is returning the dress and squeezes through the chain door.
This is the best act of the whole episode, I think.
Oh, yeah. I've got half my notes here. Just this act right here. Not that anybody's looking forward to that, but here we go. So she squeezes through the door, puts the dress in the closet. Monroe comes out, out of the kitchen, pushes her in the closet. And she comes out, and he gives her some flowers because he's confusing her with a sex surrogate. And he tells her he wants to make love to her. And she tells him she's not one of the Rush girls and calls him a junkie and throws the flowers at him. And asks if he thinks that she's a floozy. And he charms her really quick, and she tells him that she hasn't had sex since 1945 on VJ Day.
Now remember, that's only about 35 years ago. When you think about,
Yeah, in this timeline, in their time. So he goes to settle the money situation, and they agree to go Dutch because she's into it now.
I didn't know you could do that, Monroe says.
And he begins kissing her, working his arm all the way up the arm, around the neck, down the other arm, blowing in her ear, doing all kinds of stuff.
When Mr. Rush...
That's when Mr. Rush walks in, catches him, scares Monroe away, and that pisses off Rafkin because she was about to get some for the first time in 30 years.
It was going to be another VJ Day.
And then the sexual surrogate shows up.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And she thinks Miss Henry is her client, even though he's really old.
And Henry can't put two and two together, which I'm surprised, because didn't he know what was going on, or did I miss that?
I don't know that they informed him about the sexual surrogate because Jackie...
Oh, that's right.
Sarah told Jackie earlier on, so...
Yeah, he probably wouldn't have approved of that going on in his building.
No, not at all. So she pulls Henry on top of her, on that couch that he's always falling over. Just then, Muriel comes in, catches him, runs out.
Perfect timing.
And then Henry follows her. And that's the end of the act. That's the end of the show. There's no resolution on what happened after that.
Nothing more about, oh, I got my red dress back, or
what were you doing with that woman, Henry?
Or more importantly,
what's going on?
Or I should say, most importantly,
what?
No more about the chili.
No, there you go. No more about the chili.
He's smearing it all over his apron in the beginning, and they got the whole routine about, oh, the chili's so hot, it's hurting
Should
my
I add some
eyes,
more
and
chili sauce to this? Chili pepper?
Did I go south of the border? And, I just had this feeling like, every month or so, we go through this. He makes, overly spicy chili, and then Jackie comes in looking for that red dress again. And well, anyways, tonight we had the guest star of Mildred Rafkin and the surrogate. Henry was wearing the college sweater Syracuse tonight. Now, I wrote that Monroe was not wearing stripes. You could almost think maybe there is an argument to be made that maybe he was wearing stripes. There was a one-sided phone conversation in this episode. You mentioned it. It was Jackie on the phone to Mrs. Rafkin.
Yeah. 2
instances of Henry pointing and one really good Henry stammer.
Classic.
There was no Monroe's motorcycle, but there was a mention of Monroe's roommate.
That is true.
Now, couch flip. Is it or is it not? It's not really a couch flip, but they did fall onto that couch. So maybe it was kind of like a reverse couch flip. You can consider that. As far as that transvestite storyline popping back up, yeah, Jackie's dresses, because she confused it for one of the dresses, but he didn't wear strapless.
Rafkin never wore strapless. That's how Muriel knew that was Jackie's dress.
Yeah. As far as the intro goes, it was the same as last episode. Now, subversiveness. Did a sitcom ever deal with this topic before of somebody meeting with a sex surrogate?
I believe, I would think a Three's Company must have.
We definitely had disheveled Henry hair at one point in this episode. We did have the old-young relationship. This might be the first instance of that, I think, where Monroe tries to hook up with Miss Rafkin. There will be many more instances of the old-young dynamic throughout the many more episodes to come.
And the Rafkin-Monroe epic.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give this one on a scale of 1 to 5 a 5, because this one was just so ludicrously perfect in a way. What was the bizarre, odd happenings in this episode? The plot. I mean, here we are only a few Monroe episodes in, and they're already doing odd things to the character.
Monroe confided in Mr. Rush about his virginity.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of bonded now.
I even wrote down here, I don't want the pick of the litter. WTF? This episode could be the first to have the Mr. Rush and another woman storyline.
Yeah.
This was definitely the first one to say 1981 in the end credits. I'd say at this point the elements that make up the show that we get to know after this are really starting to kick in here. I'd say this is easily one of the best episodes from season 1.
Oh, you say that, but the next one is pretty good as well.
And the next one next week is a fine romance. Muriel's friend Sylvia gets divorced. Then Sylvia makes a move on Henry. So we're going right back into that storyline again. I'm Marty Catola.
I'm Gene Mott.
We'll see you next time, or you'll hear us next week.
You can hear my show on Stitcher. Stitcher is radio on demand. Download the free app today. Listen anytime, anywhere.
Create custom playlists. Rate and review my show on Stitcher. And over 4 million car dashboards.
On demand and on the go. No downloading, no syncing, no wasted memory. Stream your favorite podcasts. Don't have Stitcher? Download it free today at Stitcher.com or in the App Store.